Everyone, welcome to the Anchor Setup 2.0. Thank you for joining me in the Bat Cave. As you can see, I've upgraded my last episode where I appeared in my kitchen. So it is nice to have an upgrade. Okay, so first of all, your alias you would like to go by, please.
How about Tracops? It's a genus of bat.
All right, Tracops. I like that. I don't mind just taking a few seconds and telling us why do you feel like you're an expert on what we're going to be discussing today.
I'm a PhD student in vertebrate paleontology. I specialize in bats. I recently defended my master's degree, and soon I'll have a paper coming out about the terrestrial ability and evolution of terrestrial behaviors in bats. I've also done a lot of work in Costa Rica in the neotropics, as well as North America.
And don't forget, he had humble beginnings. He used to be a zookeeper, right?
Yep, absolutely. Used to be a zookeeper.
Yep.
Large host stock.
There you go.
You know?
All right, well, thanks for joining us. I guess with my mask, I should be saying it like this. Pull up YouTube. Now. Or I'll slap you. I'm going to slap you.
All right, YouTube is pulled up.
Okay, excellent. So you're just going to follow along with me. I'm just going to ask you to fast forward, chop, 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 intermittently.
Okay.
And I'm going to just ask you questions all along the way. You ready?
Okay.
Come along with me. Cool.
All right, sounds
Here we go. Pretty horrifying. Okay, so first couple things I want to address with you is what do you think about the aspect of having a serum or like a liquid that's injected in you to cause the change, the genetic change?
In terms of how accurate it is, probably not so much. Genetics are sort of fixed. Each cell in the body of any organism contains the exact same genetic code, so it just requires certain cells in certain parts of the body are carrying out specific functions, but the DNA in each given cell codes for everything. So to change something on a genetic basis, you have to change the DNA in every cell in a body, which is billions.
Sure.
So, I don't know. I definitely think you could probably create some sort of concoction to encourage hair growth or, whatever these other features. But, as far as turning a creature into a human into a bat-like creature, I don't know.
No way. All right. Are you familiar with the chimera aspect?
Just like an amalgamation of various... Yeah.
Correct. So, I was listening just recently to a scientific study, and I know it's almost old news in the science world that we've actually successfully created some types of chimera with like lambs that can produce spider silk and so on and so forth. So I just wondered, as far as applying that concept to the man bat, do you think that if we did take it down to the birth, do you think at least aspects of it are plausible to mix human genes with bat genes?
Potentially. Humans and bats are not terribly far apart in sort of the grand scheme of life, and especially, or even within the grand scheme of mammals, they're not terribly far apart. Not like lambs and spiders or something like that. So I don't see why not. You run into sort of an ethical problem, I think, about
I can't imagine. Off the cuff, because I'm sure you probably have some experience with this. Off the cuff, if you had to estimate the man bat's wingspan, what would you try to estimate it at?
Oh man, it's probably 3 meters or so, maybe 10 feet.
Okay.
I would guess.
Sure.
It could be bigger.
So,
which is
length about 2 grown men, I guess. Line side to side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. The wiki, I should stress, does allude to the fact that this serum does give the man bat, superior strength and reflexes and endurance, so on and so forth. But I do want to ask: is there any real world evidence that says that bats, for their size, possess a great deal of strength?
I don't really know where bats rank relative to humans in terms of their strength. I more so on the human side. Humans are a little bit weaker, I think, than a lot of animals. So I would guess that for their size, bats are pretty significantly stronger than humans. I
doubt a bat the size of man bat could sort of lift up the things that
Sure.
man bat is able to, so
Sure.
that might be a little bit
far-fetched.
exaggerated.
Yeah,
but
sure. I think he would really possess that type of strength, because you do see later in the clip he's able to have Batman on his back while he's flying,
Yeah.
and he's dragging him along.
Well, I mean, bats are pretty strong. Sometimes when you're
catching bats, you'll notice that in addition to the net that you catch the bat in addition to the adult bat, you get a little baby. So certain bat species will carry the babies along with them when they're flying, so they can clearly carry a decent amount of weight relative to their body size.
Okay, so that we can't bring up the subject of bats and the man bat without discussing some type of echolocation, yeah?
right.
So I am curious, do you think that part of the ability to get the frequency so high has to do with the strength of the lungs and the diaphragm inside the bat?
Oh man, so you're really stretching my knowledge of echolocation is a whole world.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a whole field associated with this. I know that a lot of the calls, especially in the group that I work on the most, the neotropical leaf nose bats.
Turns out in my group, echolocation is emitted through the nose, but most bats' echolocation is emitted through the mouth.
Pathway. They come out of the nose and they're sort of directed.
Sure. So it's not like traditional yelling like we would think. It's not like, oh.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, and bats make audible chirps or screams or yells. So, but man bat again. I don't know. I still.
You have to dissect a man bat, yeah?
Yeah, right. You have to dissect man bat to see his cochlea or his sort of echolocation producing apparatus.
Sure. Okay, I guess I just got one more question for you, buddy. So, again, I don't think we can talk about bats without talking about how they sleep upside down. And I guess, I have my own theories, and maybe you can tell me how far-fetched they are, but I guess I assume that bats sleep upside down because they're extremely vulnerable on the ground, and sleeping on the ground would just be, and I guess the same thing for man bat, because he, of course, does, lunge from a, upside down position, so I think that's advantageous, I guess, for maybe catch and prey right when they wake up or something as well,
Yeah. Certain bats can't actually initiate flight from the ground.
Oh, interesting.
So they have to drop into flight. But my research studying how bats behave on the ground and the evolution of those behaviors, I've sort of determined that a lot of bats can take flight from the ground, and
Sure.
a lot of bats do have different sort of terrestrial abilities when they're on the ground. Some bats are really great walking around on the ground. They're obviously, unlike man bat, who's walking around on two legs, because essentially he's a man, with a, whatever.
He's a man.
Yeah, and then a bat.
What you've seen from the media, if you had to pick one genus and species, and again, I'll slap that up right here so the audience can see it, but if you had to pick one genus species that you would suspect that the man bat is using from, which one would that be?
Oh, so this is interesting. This is one of the when you talked to me about this is one of the more interesting things that I had debated. So first off, I think it depends on what man bat potentially would eat. might indicate what type of bat he is or what broad group he is.
Okay.
Man bat's giant, so the most giant bats are the old world flying fox, so to speak, and they are all fruit and nectar eater, sort of well-studied bats. Include things like the big brown bat, which is a really common bat throughout North America, and it's a little insectivorous bat. The common vampire bat is very well studied, but I don't think there's any indication that man bat is a vampiric bat. I don't think he's feeding on anybody's blood. Looking at his face, he doesn't really have the sort of fleshy pad around its nose and its mouth like a common vampire bat would.
Yeah. He doesn't even really have much of a nose at all. It's just like
right. So any of the leaf-nosed bats, the false vampire bat, probably not. The large fruit bat might be, some sort of flying fox, an Indian flying fox or something like that. Maybe looking at his face again, he doesn't have the fleshy leaf nose, so maybe not the false vampire bat.
Sure.
But I'd go with some sort of little insectivorous bat, like the big brown bat, or the northern long-eared bat, or a bigger flying fox type of bat.
It's funny, something we didn't consider is, since this is a fictional serum, they could have really just slammed all the beneficial aspects of all types of bats in there,
That's true. That's true.
If I was Batman and I was like, I need help with this detective, I would definitely call you, dude. I'd be like, I'd get you all the hair samples and the DNA and all that stuff. I'd like to thank our special guest Trey Kops for coming in to speak to us about the bats. Any closing thoughts?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me come and talk about bats. They're fascinating creatures, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool work about them. So, feel free if you guys out there watching are interested. There's a lot of cool resources about bats out there.
Nice. All right, so go to your local libraries, everybody.